Arigato Money. Say thank you to money and watch your life transform. Ken Honda's Happy Money. Welcome to Wealth and Wellness, your #1 channel for building real, long-term wealth and living a healthy, fulfilling life. Because here, we truly believe that health is your very first and most important wealth. And everything else, every dollar, every dream, every financial goal, comes right after that. Introduction. Hey everyone. What is up? Welcome back. So glad you are here with me today. Because today's video, I am genuinely excited about this one. We are talking about a book that has sold over 8 million copies worldwide. A book that has been translated into 15 languages. A book that Japan's #1 personal development author spent decades of his life researching. And a book that completely flips everything you thought you knew about money. The book is called Happy Money. The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money, written by Ken Honda. And the core concept that runs through every single page of this book is something called Arigato Money. Now, arigato is a Japanese word. It simply means thank you. So arigato money means thank you, money. Thank you when it comes in. Thank you when it goes out. Gratitude in every single financial transaction. And I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds like a feel-good spiritual thing. What does saying thank you have to do with building real wealth? Stay with me. Because what Ken Honda teaches in this book is not just philosophy. It is backed by years of research into the behaviors, mindsets, and habits of over 12,000 self-made millionaires. And what he found will completely change how you see your wallet, your bank account, and your entire financial life. Let's get into it. About the book. When it was published and why it became famous. First, let's talk about the book itself. Happy Money. The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money was officially published in the United States on June 4, 2019. By Simon & Schuster. One of the most respected publishers in the world. Now before that, the book had already been a massive bestseller in Japan for years. In its Japanese version. When the English edition hit American shelves, it exploded. Jack Canfield, the #1 New York Times best-selling co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, said this about the book. Ken's book will transform your life around money. Stuart Emery, author of Success Built to Last, called it a perfect, concise explanation of how to change your relationship with money from struggle and friction to easy flow. Why did it become so famous? Because it addresses something that almost no other finance book dares to touch. It does not just teach you how to make money. It teaches you how to feel about money. And that emotional side of finance. What Ken Honda calls money EQ. Turns out to be just as important, if not more important, than any investment strategy or budgeting system. In America, we have thousands of books that tell us how to budget, how to invest, how to start a business, how to get out of debt. But almost none of them ask the deeper question. Why are so many people who earn good money still financially stressed, still unhappy, still feeling like they never have enough? This book answers that question. About the author. Ken Honda. The Zen millionaire. Now let's talk about the man himself. Because Ken Honda's story is absolutely worth knowing. Ken Honda was born in 1965 in Kobe, Japan. He studied law at Waseda University in Tokyo, one of the most prestigious universities in Japan. After graduation, he entered the workforce as a business consultant and investor. But here is what makes Ken Honda extraordinary. He did not stay in the corporate world very long. By the time he was just 29 years old, he had already achieved financial freedom. Not through one lucky break, but through building and managing several successful businesses, including an accounting company, a management consulting firm, and a venture capital corporation. Think about that for a second. 29 years old. Financially free. Most Americans at 29 are still figuring out their student loans. But Ken Honda did not stop there. Because even after achieving financial freedom, he was still deeply fascinated by one question. Why do some people with money feel happy, and others with the exact same amount of money feel miserable and stressed? To answer that question, he spent years studying over 12,000 self-made millionaires in Japan. And during this journey, he met the man who would change his life completely. His mentor, Wahei Takeda. Wahei Takeda was known as the Warren Buffett of Japan. A billionaire who built one of Japan's most successful snack food companies. Wahei Takeda had a philosophy that money should be loved and respected, and that gratitude is the most powerful wealth-building force in the universe. That mentorship, combined with years of his own research, gave birth to the Arigato Money concept. Today, Ken Honda has written over 150 books. His total book sales exceed 8 million copies worldwide. He is known by 3 unforgettable nicknames: the Zen Millionaire, the Money Healer, and the Happy Money Guy. He is the first Japanese person ever to be voted into the Transformational Leadership Council, a prestigious group of the world's top personal and professional development leaders. He has lived in Boston and currently resides in Tokyo. And he teaches in both Japanese and English. Some fun facts and trivia. Before we get into the book's chapters, here are a few fun facts you will love. Ken Honda is so popular in Japan that one of his earlier books, The Life Lessons of a Jewish Millionaire, sold so many copies that roughly 1 in every 20 Japanese people has read it. That is the equivalent of 1 in every 20 Americans having read the same self-help book. Think about that scale. When it came time to release the English version of Happy Money for American audiences, Ken Honda's publisher sent a New York Times best-selling author named Mary Curran Hackett all the way to Tokyo, Japan, for 2 full weeks, just to shadow Ken Honda and interview him extensively. Why? Because they wanted to make absolutely sure that his distinctive voice, his warmth, his humor, and his deeply personal storytelling style came through perfectly in English. That kind of commitment to authenticity is rare. Another fun fact: the Arigato Money concept actually came directly from Ken Honda's mentor Wahei Takeda. Wahei used to say thank you for absolutely everything in his life. Not just money. He believed that gratitude was literally the secret frequency of the universe that attracts abundance. And when Ken Honda started studying the richest, happiest people in Japan, he found that almost all of them, in one way or another, shared this same attitude of deep gratitude. And one more thing. Happy Money was already a huge bestseller in Japan for years before it came to America. When it finally arrived on American shelves in 2019, it struck a chord with audiences who had never encountered this perspective on money before. Now let's go chapter by chapter. The book is structured beautifully. It has a preface, an introduction, and 5 powerful chapters. Let's walk through each one. Preface. A new way to see money. The preface sets the tone for everything that follows. And it does so with a deceptively simple idea. Ken Honda opens by telling us that money is not just a number. It is not just paper and metal. It is not just digits in a bank account. Money, he says, is energy. And just like any form of energy, it can be positive or negative, light or heavy, flowing or stagnant. The question is not how much money you have. The question is what kind of energy is surrounding your money. He introduces us early on to 2 types of money: happy money and unhappy money. And he says this distinction is the foundation of everything. Now, think about how this applies in America. We have some of the highest earning households in the world. But we also have some of the highest rates of financial stress, anxiety, divorce over money, and lifestyle inflation in the world. People earning six figures are living paycheck to paycheck. People retiring with $1 million are still scared they don't have enough. Why? Because the number is not the problem. The relationship is the problem. Ken Honda in the preface says that this book is not about making you rich. It is about making your relationship with money one of gratitude, joy, and flow. And when that happens, more often than not, the wealth follows naturally. Introduction. Happy Money and Unhappy Money. The introduction is where the central concept of the book truly comes alive. And it is something you will not forget after this. Ken Honda makes a distinction so clear and so powerful that once you hear it, you will start noticing it everywhere in your own life. Happy money is money that flows with joy, gratitude, and love. It is the money you earn doing work that genuinely excites you. The money you spend on experiences and things that truly bring you happiness. The money you give freely and joyfully. And it is the money you receive with a genuine smile and a grateful heart. Unhappy money is the opposite. It is money that flows with resentment, fear, stress, guilt, or obligation. It is the paycheck from the job you dread going to every Monday morning. It is the money you spend on things you did not really want, just because you were keeping up with the Joneses. It is the money you give reluctantly, or receive with suspicion or guilt. Here is the powerful insight. Ken Honda says that money carries the emotional energy of the person who handles it. Think about tipping your server at a restaurant. If you tip generously with genuine appreciation, that transaction has a completely different energy than if you leave a tip while grumbling under your breath about the price. And he gives this practical challenge to every reader. Start paying attention to how your money moves through your life. Are you earning happy money or unhappy money? Are you spending it with joy or with guilt? Are you giving it with love or with resentment? This introduction alone, if you really sit with it, can shift the entire way you relate to your finances. Chapter 1. What does money mean to you? Solving the mystery of money. This is the chapter where Ken Honda asks the most important question most of us have never been asked. What does money mean to you? Not what does the financial advisor say it should mean. Not what your parents taught you it meant. What does it genuinely mean to you? At your deepest level. Emotionally and psychologically. For some people, money represents security. For others, it represents freedom. For some, it represents power. For others, it represents love. Because growing up, the only way their parents showed affection was by buying things. For some people, money represents danger. Because every time there was money in their household growing up, it came with fighting, stress, or manipulation. Ken Honda calls this your money story. And he says every single one of us has one. It is the narrative about money that was written in our minds during childhood. Before we were even old enough to consciously understand what money was. Think about your own childhood. Did you grow up hearing, "We can't afford that"? Did you hear, "Money is the root of all evil"? Did you hear, "Rich people are greedy"? Or did you hear, "Money is a tool and we use it wisely"? In America, many of us grew up in households where money was either never talked about, or it was the source of constant tension. Either way, those early experiences formed a money story. And that story has been quietly running your financial life ever since. Whether you notice it or not. Ken Honda also introduces in this chapter the concept of money wounds. These are specific painful experiences related to money that left emotional scars. Maybe you lost everything in the 2008 financial crisis. Maybe you were betrayed by a business partner. Maybe you grew up watching your parents lose their home. Maybe you went through a bankruptcy. These wounds, if left unhealed, create a pattern of self-sabotage around money. No matter how much financial education you receive, The assignment Ken Honda gives you after this chapter is this. Write down your money story. Write down where it came from. And ask yourself honestly. Is this story serving me? Or is it holding me back? Chapter 2. Money IQ and Money EQ. This is the chapter that I think will be the biggest eye-opener for most Americans. Because it challenges the assumption that financial knowledge is all you need. Ken Honda introduces a concept that is simple but absolutely game-changing. The difference between Money IQ and Money EQ. Money IQ is what we usually think of when we think about financial literacy. It is the knowledge and skill set of managing money. How to budget. How to invest. How to read a balance sheet. How to understand compound interest. How to start a 401k. How to file your taxes efficiently. This is what most financial education focuses on. Money EQ is something completely different. Money EQ is your emotional intelligence around money. It is how you feel when you earn, spend, save, give, and receive money. It is the emotional patterns and responses you have when money is involved in a situation. Ken Honda shares stories from his own life. From watching his family navigate money to mentoring others. He noticed something striking. There were plenty of people with extremely high money IQ. People who understood finance inside and out. Who were still deeply unhappy, financially stressed, or unable to hold on to wealth. And there were people with relatively modest financial knowledge. Low money IQ. But an extraordinarily healthy, joyful, grateful relationship with money. Who seemed to effortlessly attract abundance and stay at peace. Here is the key insight. High money IQ with low money EQ will get you more money. But it will not get you more happiness or peace. You might earn $1 million and still feel terrified, miserable, or like it is never enough. But high money EQ, combined with even moderate money IQ, opens the door to both genuine wealth and genuine happiness. Think about some of the most stressed out, miserable people you know. And chances are, at least a few of them make very good money. Meanwhile, some of the most joyful and abundant people you know might not have the biggest bank accounts. But they have an ease and a grace with money that is impossible to ignore. Ken Honda says the goal is to develop both. Sharpen your money IQ through education. But heal and grow your money EQ through self-awareness, gratitude, and emotional work. In America, we have 1,000 courses on financial literacy. We have almost none on financial emotional intelligence. This chapter is a call to change that. Chapter 3. Money in Your Life. Chapter 3 is where Ken Honda goes deep into the different ways money shows up in our lives. And he introduces something that I think you are going to find incredibly relatable. The concept of money personalities. He describes several types of money personalities. And the insight is that each one represents a particular set of emotional patterns around money. The first is the saver. The saver lives in fear of not having enough. They save compulsively, never spend on enjoyment, never treat themselves, never take vacations. They have money in the bank but zero quality of life. Think about the person who lived frugally their whole life. Saved everything. Retired at 65. And then realized they were too tired, too old, or too sick to enjoy any of it. The second is the spender. The spender uses money to fill emotional voids. Shopping feels good. Buying the latest tech, the new clothes, the nicer car. It gives a rush. But the rush fades fast. And the credit card bill arrives. This is one of the most common patterns in American consumer culture. The third is the avoider. The avoider cannot bear to look at their finances. Bank statements go unopened. Credit card bills pile up. The word budget makes them anxious. They have no idea exactly how much money they have. And they prefer to keep it that way. The fourth is the worrier. No matter how much money the worrier has, it is never enough. They are constantly anxious, constantly running worst-case scenarios in their head, even when they are objectively doing well financially. And then there are healthier personalities too. Those who have found a balance, who give and receive money with ease, who save without hoarding and spend without guilt. Ken Honda also introduces in this chapter the powerful idea of financial healing. He says that many of our money personalities came from trauma, from scarcity, loss, betrayal, or family dysfunction around money. And he walks you through the first steps of healing those patterns. He also talks about something very relevant to American family dynamics. The idea that our money wounds and money stories are often inherited. You pick up your parents' relationship with money without even realizing it. If your parents were always anxious about money, there is a very good chance you are too, even if you are making 5 times what they ever made. The work here is to recognize your money personality without judgment, to understand where it came from, and to consciously begin shifting it towards something healthier. Chapter 4. The Flow of Money. This is the heart of the entire book. This is the chapter where Ken Honda delivers the central secret of Arigato Money. And it is stunning in its simplicity. Ken Honda says, money is like water. When water flows freely, it is life-giving. Streams, rivers, rain, waterfalls. All beautiful, all nourishing. But when water stagnates and stops moving, it becomes stale, murky, and eventually toxic. A pond with no inlet and no outlet goes bad. Money works the same way. Money that flows freely, that is earned with joy, spent with purpose, given with generosity, and received with gratitude. That is happy money in its truest form. But money that is hoarded out of fear, held onto with a tight fist, spent with guilt, or received with suspicion, that money loses its positive energy. This is where Ken Honda introduces the practice at the core of the Arigato Money concept. It is disarmingly simple. When money comes to you, say arigato. Thank you. When money leaves you, say arigato. Thank you for the service, the product, the experience this money made possible. Do this with sincerity. Not as a ritual, but as a genuine emotional practice. Now, here is the science-adjacent piece of this. Ken Honda studied thousands of wealthy, genuinely happy people. And this gratitude practice appeared in some form in almost all of them. It is not that gratitude magically attracts dollars. It is that gratitude shifts your emotional state from fear and scarcity to openness and abundance. And in that state, you make better decisions. You attract better opportunities. You build better relationships. And you show up differently in every financial transaction. In America, think about the difference between a business owner who genuinely loves what they do, who charges what they are worth, who pays their team generously, who gives back to their community, who talks about money with openness and excitement, versus a business owner who is driven purely by fear of failure, who undercharges because they feel unworthy, who resents every dollar that goes out. Those two businesses might be in the same industry with the same starting capital, but their trajectories will be completely different. Ken Honda also says in this chapter, go where money flows. Money gathers where there is energy, opportunity, service, and value creation. He encourages readers to stop sitting on the sidelines waiting for money to come to them, and instead to actively position themselves in places and relationships where value is being exchanged. He also talks about finding your tribe, the community of people who share your values, your mission, your energy. Because when you surround yourself with people who have a healthy relationship with money, who support your growth, who believe in abundance rather than scarcity, that environment itself becomes a catalyst for financial flow. And finally, one of the most beautiful ideas in this chapter. Creating your flow means sharing your flow. Movement in money is not just about having. It is about giving and receiving as a cycle. The more freely you give, with joy and without attachment, the more freely money tends to return to you. This is the law of flow. And it runs through every prosperous life Ken Honda has ever studied. Chapter 5. The Future of Money. The final chapter of Happy Money is where Ken Honda pulls everything together and points you toward your financial future with clear, actionable steps. He lays out 5 foundational practices for building what he calls a happy money life. Let's go through each one. The first practice is shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Scarcity says, there is not enough. I have to protect what I have. If someone else wins, I lose. Abundance says, there is more than enough for everyone. Generosity attracts more. Another person's success does not diminish mine. In America, we are simultaneously one of the wealthiest nations on earth and one of the most financially anxious. And a huge part of that is because our culture is saturated with scarcity messaging. Advertising that says you do not have enough. News that says the economy is always on the edge. Social media that is one long highlight reel of what everyone else has that you do not. Shifting to an abundance mindset is not about ignoring financial reality. It is about training your brain to see possibility instead of only peril. To see generosity as a strategy, not a risk. To believe that there is a path forward, even when things feel tight. The second practice is forgiving and healing your money wounds. This is the emotional work. And it is real work. Ken Honda says that many of us are carrying financial trauma. Experiences from the past that left us with shame, fear, or anger around money. And until we consciously heal those wounds, they will keep showing up as self-sabotage, avoidance, overspending, undercharging, or any number of other patterns that keep us stuck. The third practice is discovering your gifts and getting into the flow. Ken Honda believes, deeply and passionately, that every human being has a unique gift or set of gifts. Something they do with a natural ease and joy that others find difficult. And he believes that when you align your work with your gifts, when you earn money doing something that feels like an expression of who you are, the money flows with far less resistance. Think about the most successful people you know. Not just the richest, but the most fulfilled and successful. Chances are, there is at least one thing they do that they love so much it barely feels like work. And they have found a way to make that the thing the world pays them for. The fourth practice is building trust. In yourself. In other people. In life itself. Fear destroys financial flow. Trust opens it. When you trust that you are capable and that good things are coming, you make bolder, better, more intentional decisions. When you trust the people in your life, you build relationships that create opportunity. Distrust keeps you isolated, defensive, and financially contracted. And the fifth practice, which ties everything together, is always saying arigato. Always expressing gratitude. When money comes in and when it goes out. For big transactions and small ones. For the salary. For the grocery bill. For the unexpected expense. For the gift. For everything. Ken Honda says that this practice alone, done consistently, will begin to change your emotional relationship with money in ways that no budgeting app or investment strategy ever could. Because it rewires your nervous system's response to money. From threat to abundance. From stress to gratitude. What this book teaches our generation. Before we get to the summary, I want to take a moment and talk about why this book matters so much right now. Especially for us in America. Our generation is more financially educated than any previous generation. We have YouTube channels. We have apps. We have podcasts. We have Reddit threads dedicated to every conceivable aspect of personal finance. And yet, financial anxiety is at an all-time high. Student loan debt is at an all-time high. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. And despite rising incomes in many sectors, more people than ever say they do not feel financially secure. Ken Honda would say the reason is simple. We have been developing our money IQ without developing our money EQ. We know more about how to make money than ever before. But we feel worse about it than ever before. This book teaches our generation that the path to real financial well-being starts on the inside. It starts with healing the emotional patterns that keep us stuck. It starts with shifting from scarcity to abundance. From fear to gratitude. From hoarding to flow. And it teaches us something deeply practical. That the quality of our relationship with money determines the quality of our financial life. Not just the quantity. Summary. Happy Money. The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money, by Ken Honda, is not your typical personal finance book. And that is exactly what makes it one of the most important financial books of our time. Through the lens of the Arigato Money concept, Ken Honda teaches us that money is energy. And like all energy, it flows most freely and most abundantly when it is met with gratitude, joy, and love rather than fear, scarcity, and stress. From understanding the difference between happy money and unhappy money, to identifying and healing our deeply personal money stories and money wounds, to developing both the financial knowledge of money IQ and the emotional wisdom of money EQ, to learning how to create and sustain a flow of abundance through giving and receiving with a grateful heart. This book offers a complete and deeply human framework for transforming not just your bank account, but your entire relationship with wealth. If you take only one thing from Ken Honda's teaching, let it be this. Say arigato to your money. Thank it when it comes. Thank it when it goes. And watch how that simple shift in energy begins to change everything. End credits. And that, right there, is a wrap on today's video. I genuinely hope this one shifted something for you today. Because I think Ken Honda is onto something profound here. Something that no spreadsheet, no budgeting tool, and no investment app can give you. Which is a true, deep, joyful peace with the money in your life. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here today. Your time is precious. And I am truly grateful you spent some of it here with me. Thank you. Now if this video added value to your day, if something clicked, if something shifted, please go ahead and hit that like button right now. It takes 2 seconds. And it helps this content reach more people who genuinely need it. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join this community. Because every single week, we are here bringing you the real conversations about building long-term wealth and living a healthy, fulfilling life. Because remember, health is always your first wealth, and we never lose sight of that. Drop a comment below and tell me, what was your biggest takeaway from today's video? Was it the concept of happy money versus unhappy money? Was it the difference between money IQ and money EQ? Or maybe the idea that your money story from childhood is still running your finances today? I read every single comment. And I would love to hear from you. Until next time, take care of your health. Say arigato to your money. And keep building. We will see you in the next one. Wealth and wellness. Long-term wealth. Starting with your health.